From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
It's 5 o'clock on your Friday. Good morning to you. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Here are your headlines on this October the 9th. Hoosier Hospital seeing a surge in COVID-19 patients, how they're handling the sudden increase in those cases. The pandemic is taking its toll on tourism, and now organizations want you to come back and visit downtown Indianapolis. Our Kelsey Anderson shows you how you can score a big deal to the museums, to the zoo, and much, much more. And some people are still waiting weeks after requesting an absentee ballot. What you need to do and what you need to know if yours is now delayed. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana on this Friday. Todd Clausen. I think summer is trying to make a comeback, and I am not going to complain because we know what's coming ahead, right?
Yeah, you know, October is one of those months where you can go back and forth. You know, last week was a little chilly. I was up in Michigan visiting family, and I had a ski hat on. Temperatures were in the 40s and 50s, and I know that's a little further north than here. But here we are. Not only is Indiana in the 80s today, but probably even to our north in Michigan, they'll be climbing into the 80s. So October is just one of those months where you can get warmth, and you can get some real chilly air as well. 58 in Indy right now. It's 51 in Bloomington. Skies are clear anywhere you go across the area. We had a few high clouds earlier this morning. They basically faded away now, and we are going to be left with these clear skies throughout, not only this morning, but into the afternoon hours as well. The one little exception is further south you may get back into a little bit in the way of high, thin cloud cover as we get into the afternoon hours, but otherwise we are in great shape as far as today's forecast goes. One other thing I think you'll notice throughout the day today, besides the warmth, is the wind. It's going to kind of kick back in a little bit once again later on this afternoon. But look at that, 74 degrees already by the noon hour with our high temperature today, Raphael, climbing all the way up into the low to mid 80s.
And no complaints at the complaints department today. Listen, as you head out this morning and we look at your traffic right now, as you can see, it's another beautiful day to match Todd's amazing forecast. This is a live look at I-65 at the North Split. All is moving well this morning, so enjoy your Friday and have a great weekend. The number of new COVID-19 cases in our state are nearly at a record high, and hospitals are now seeing more patients with the virus. In the latest report, the State Department of Health reports 1,488 new cases of COVID-19. That brings the state's total to 129,677. 16 new deaths were also confirmed. The state's death toll has now surpassed 3,500 since the pandemic began. For the fourth day in a row, the State Department of Health is reporting more than 1,000 COVID patients in hospitals across our state. The latest update shows 1,100 patients statewide. IU Health Ball Hospital in Muncie says it's seeing an all-time high in COVID-19 patients. In a social media post, the chief medical officer of IU Health's East Region said that Muncie Hospital and more along I-69 are extremely busy. The message urged the community to be vigilant, to wear a mask, and to practice social distancing. They ask if you or a loved one are showing symptoms of COVID-19 to call ahead to your doctor, a nearby hospital, or use IU Health's free virtual screening clinic to help minimize that exposure. The time now is 5:04, and since the pandemic began, Indy businesses have taken a major financial hit, including those specializing in tourism. This morning, our WRTV's Kelsey Anderson joins us live with how one organization is hoping to bring you back downtown. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So in March, the pandemic shut pretty much everything down, from sporting events to restaurants to places like the Children's Museum. And now Visit Indy is trying to get you back downtown with their Indy Attraction Pass. So you can get these tickets now, and they are good for 90 days, but you can actually make it stretch even further than 1 day or the 3-day pass.
The hospitality and tourism industry has been one of the hardest hit by this pandemic.
Nate Swick works for Visit Indy. He says about 40,000 hospitality workers in the Circle City are still unemployed as businesses start to slowly open back up.
It's an industry that typically employs over 80,000 employees.
So he and Visit Indy are trying to get things back on track with the Indy Attractions Pass. The pass can get you into the Idle George Museum, the Indiana State Museum, the Indianapolis Zoo, the Children's Museum, and Connor Prairie, all for one set fee, and the pass is delivered right to your phone.
We either do a one-day pass or a three-day pass, and we think this will be kind of a way to draw new people into the city who maybe haven't had the chance to buy these. Maybe it's been out of their price point or they just haven't pulled the trigger yet. And so this is a really good reason to do that, but also to drive people back downtown who haven't necessarily been downtown in the last 6 months.
He wants downtown guests to know these venues are safe to come to.
Everybody is making sure that it's the safest way possible to welcome visitors back to the city. So everything from the Children's Museum to the zoo, the State Museum, all these entities have worked together in numerous ways alongside the city to make sure that it's safe and a fun way to come back, because you need to make sure that you get some of the same experience, but in a safe way.
Swick tells me they think this pass will benefit more than just the attractions listed.
You go to the museum, then you might stay downtown at a hotel, or you might also go to a restaurant, which also all need the help right now.
Okay, so once you buy that ticket, you have 90 days to use it. You can either do the one-day pass or the three-day pass, but there is a way to kind of stretch that out. So if you buy the one-day pass, for example, and you go to the Children's Museum at noon on Friday, you can go to another one of those attractions the next day as long as you check in by noon. So those tickets are actually good for 24 hours instead of just that one-day window. So you can stretch that 1 day to 2 days or the 3-day to 4 day. And you can get those tickets right now at visitindy.com. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Kelsey, as always, support downtown Indianapolis and please shop local. The time now is 5:07. Another Indianapolis holiday tradition is going virtual. And yes, you can blame the pandemic yet again. The Junior League's Holiday Mart, normally held in November at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, will now take place online. The event typically hosts nearly 150 vendors and thousands of shoppers over 4 days. With the new format, they're extending the opportunity to shop. This year, it will start November the 17th and run all the way through November the 30th. Vendors will have individual shops to showcase photos and descriptions of their products on their event's website. The virtual marketplace is free, and a portion of the proceeds, of course, will benefit the Junior League. In our Democracy 2020 coverage, the deadline to request an absentee ballot in Indiana, the date is October the 22nd, but you're encouraged to apply as soon as possible because some people are facing deadlines. Ruth Warner tells WRTV that she applied for an absentee ballot on September the 12th, and she's still waiting. Warner wanted to vote by mail to avoid possible COVID-19 exposure. She's willing to go to the polls to make sure her voice is heard, but now she's not sure if she's allowed.
I don't want to go to the polls and wait in line for an hour or so and be turned away. But I can't get an answer from the Marion County voters registration. I don't think I'm going to get it. I get all my other mail, and mail that I've sent out seems to be received. So I'm really frustrated, and I'd really like to know if I will be able to vote if I go in person, and what about all these other people who maybe have lost their ballots too.
Of course, WRTV is getting answers for Ruth and anyone else who may be in a similar situation. The Marion County Clerk's Office tells us people who don't receive their ballot can contact the County Election Board to have the ballot reissued, or they can vote in person. Vice President Mike Pence will not vote in Indianapolis today. After all, Mr. Pence has postponed his trip to the clerk's office. It is not clear why, but his office says the vice president looks forward to rescheduling his trip to Indianapolis in the near future. President Trump could resume his schedule of rallies and travel as soon as tomorrow. In a memo, the president's doctor says it is safe for him to return to public engagements on Saturday. Now, typically people have been told to quarantine for 14 days when they have the virus. Mr. Trump says he plans to take another COVID-19 test today and wants to try and hold a campaign rally tomorrow in Florida. So let WRTV be your central source for all you need to know before November the 3rd. Go to our Vote in 2020 digital section. There you'll find everything that you need to know, including who's on the ballot, where you can vote, and how early voting works. So keep that in mind. That's your source for voting. But of course, our source for everything you need to know about weather is right here. every morning. Todd Clausen standing by. Good morning, TK.
Raphael, good morning to you. Happy Friday, everybody. It's going to be another nice, beautiful day for us across the area. The one thing we need that we haven't got a lot of in September and now into October is obviously rainfall. Look at this. Indianapolis and Bloomington, even Shelbyville, already close to an inch below normal. And here we are only 9 days into the month, about 0.4 of an inch below normal up in Lafayette. And there's just not a whole lot in the way of rain chances heading in our direction. We're dry today. We're dry Saturday. Sunday, there could be a few spot showers all late in the day, but I think it's after you do any outdoor activities on Sunday. So the next best chance of rain will be on Monday. And even then, it's just some spotty showers that are going to come through with a cold front across the area. Before that front arrives, we turn the wind southwesterly today. It's a little breezy, but look what it does to the temperatures, going all the way up into the mid-80s. A very summer-like day as we end the work week. We'll talk more about the weekend for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. A local man is taking on White Castle, taking them in court, while he says the food chain is refusing to give him the property that he owns. And the next time you have a telehealth visit, you may have to pay. Did you know about this? Coming up, the changes insurance companies are making that could add a charge to you and your family. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on this Friday morning. At 5:14, we now take you to Hendricks County. An investigation underway in Avon this morning after social media posts were made targeting female students. Officials say a juvenile has been detained after claiming responsibility for the content. It comes after many residents raised concerns over posts on an Instagram page. Both town and school police are not releasing specific information about what that post contained. Avon police say they also have learned about additional social media posts. These were related to earlier posts, but did not specify the target to be an Avon school. The investigation, of course, is now ongoing. A legal battle underway over a land near a White Castle on the east side of Indianapolis. You see, James Leonard, he bought property near 38th and Keystone a year ago with plans to convert it into a self-storage business. The retired Army colonel says he wanted to open a business in the area where he grew up to give back to the community. But Leonard says when he bought the land from Palmer Properties, he did not know there was an easement that belongs to White Castle to allow for a driveway.
Palmer Properties signed a lease with White Castle. That's good until 2030, which I was not privy to. When you convert a property to self-storage, almost every inch counts. That part of my land on the back, the 25 feet by 158 that White Castle is denying me the use of, is a significant income loss.
So WRTV got to work and we talked to the vice president of White Castle about this situation. Jamie Richardson says the company tried to negotiate with Leonard.
It's just a matter of we have to protect the jobs of our team members and their families and really do what's right by them, as well as being a good neighbor. For us, the driveway is important because it's access for our customers. But beyond that, it's something we agreed to 25 years ago.
A state representative, John Bartlett, is trying to help Leonard on the situation. We'll bring you updates if the situation changes. The time now is 5:16, and telehealth has been a lifeline for people who have not been able or don't feel comfortable going into that doctor's office. But you may have to start paying more for some of those virtual visits. You see, Anthem and United Healthcare are two insurance providers that are now ending their cost-sharing waivers for some of those plans and visits. That means having a copay that you may not have had before. Anthem's change applies to telehealth for commercially fully insured employer plans and individual plans for visits not related to COVID-19. With United Healthcare, the change applies to non-COVID telehealth care. Both companies say they're making the change with more doctor offices reopening for in-person care. Patient advocates say the possible added cost means you need to prepare before your telehealth visit.
You want to maximize your time with your doctor because you may only really get 15 minutes. So the first thing you should do before any appointment is write down your list of most important things you would like to discuss with your provider.
She says doing this may help you avoid a follow-up appointment that would have an additional cost. To find out your cost ahead of time, contact your provider first before using that service. As you know, we're about 3 weeks away from the spookiest holiday of them all, Halloween, and Fishers just released its trick-or-treating COVID-19 safety guidelines, and here they are. Fishers trick-or-treat hours will be held Saturday, October the 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. And the Fishers Health Department says to stay safe from COVID-19, please don't participate in trick-or-treating or handing out candy if you have symptoms of the virus, or if you've recently been diagnosed with COVID-19, or have you been in contact with someone who had the virus. Trick-or-treaters and people passing out treats need to sanitize their hands frequently, and everyone taking part in that night's fun should wear a mask. Also, do not hand out treats from a common bowl or a receptacle. And of course, as you can imagine, the list of all the trick-or-treat times and hours across central Indiana growing by the minute, Todd Clausen. So right now you can get all of that information on WRTV.com and click on this story. And Todd, I just mentioned to you just a few moments ago that we've seen it all this week. Monday we started out with frost, and today we're starting out with summer. Yeah. Indiana weather.
You know, October is that transition month. And speaking of Halloween, a few years ago, remember we were dealing with some snow on Halloween.
So, yeah.
You know, you can get a little bit of everything during this month. Thankfully, at least at the beginning half of this month, we've been dealing with conditions that have been above normal, a little cool at night. That one frosty morning Raphael mentioned. But then on Sunday, we were up into the 80s. So as we work our way throughout the day today, we're starting off in 58 degrees in Indianapolis. The wind, not too much of an issue here this morning, but look for that wind to kind of kick up as we work our way throughout the course of the day today. And it does become a little breezy across the area, and there could be some gusts up, anywhere it's about 20 miles per hour. And there is a bit of a fire danger because it's dry out there, because of the low humidity and the warm conditions and that breeze. So make sure you do, if you do have a bonfire or anything going on tonight, no, that's a big thing to do this time of year, that you make sure it is covered. 47 degrees in Greencastle, 51 in Bloomington, 40s off to the east this morning. So it just kind of depends where you are, temperatures you're seeing, but everybody gets above normal later on this afternoon. We're in the 50s here for a few hours this morning. By mid-morning, though, we should be into the 60s. We're into the 70s by the noon hour. And then really probably by 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're looking at temperatures that are going to be up into the low 80s with plenty of sunshine. You notice a few clouds here on the graphic. That's mainly for southern locations as we work our way throughout the day today, as some of the clouds from what is now Hurricane Delta making its way through the Gulf of Mexico. And you can see that cloud shield here to the south. And again, it's some of those clouds that are going to start to make their way to the north. Here's an infrared satellite. So this is a different kind of satellite. This measures the cloud tops and the heights. So the brighter the colors, the higher the cloud tops. And you can see this swirl right here. That's the center of the storm. It's expected to make landfall in western Louisiana as we work our way into the evening hours tonight. What impact does it have on us here in central Indiana? Well, I mentioned some clouds sneaking in here later on this evening, and you can see that on TrueCast, but it's a real sharp cutoff. To the north, skies will be mostly sunny. And then as we go into the overnight hours, it is picking up on a little bit in the way of rainfall here down to the south. I don't think a lot of this reaches the ground, but I can't rule out the chance of a shower for you as we head into Saturday morning in some southern locations. But overall, Saturday is just going to feature a little more in the way of cloud cover for us. So instead of mostly sunny like today, we're talking about partly to mostly cloudy skies on Saturday. But again, most of the day is dry. High school football this evening, sunset 7:14. We're looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies, but dry conditions and breezy conditions as well. Best chance of rain is on Monday when a cold front goes through. It's just some scattered showers, nothing major, Raphael. And then cooler but dry weather once again Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
And so to match your forecast, we have a smooth morning on the roads. A live look this morning from our INDOT camera at I-465 and Keystone on the city's northeast side. As you can see, all is doing well this morning. Also, a big good morning to Tipton, Noblesville, and Franklin on this Friday. The time now is 5:22, and this morning Regal Cinema movie theaters in central Indiana and really across the nation are closed because of the pandemic. Regal Cinemas says the shutdown is temporary but has not set a reopening date. The theaters are also hurt by the delayed release of that new James Bond movie titled No Time to Die. The film's debut was postponed from November now to April. The closures will put 45,000 Americans out of a job. You can find a list of the local theaters impacted on our website, WRTV.com. So, there are more than 100 faces on the historic Indy 500 Borg-Warner Trophy. And now, this year's winner is being added to the hardware. We'll show you how it's all made possible right after the break. We'll see Takuma Sato's face on the Borg-Warner Trophy for the second time sometime next year. And this morning, we're getting an inside look at the process to add the newest Indy 500 winners' likeness to that iconic hardware. Sato visited artist Will Behrens in North Carolina this week. Behrens has been sculpting the winner's face for the trophy since back in 1990. This is the second time immortalizing Sato, who also won, as you may recall, back in 2017. Todd, what would it take, to maybe get our face maybe on something,
Well, I tell you one thing, it's not going to be on that trophy. But maybe we'll fly.
I see you drive. You're a fast driver. It's possible you could be on the Borg-Warner.
Yeah, I highly doubt that. In fact, I guarantee that will not happen. All right, outside right now, we're dealing with quiet conditions. You'll notice three things really throughout the day today. One, the sunshine. It's really a beautiful day. Two, the temperatures getting well above normal. In fact, our normal high is 68. We're there already today by 11 a.m. And the third thing you're going to notice is going to be the wind. It really kicks up with some gusts over 20 to maybe even 30 miles an hour later on this afternoon. But it's a southwesterly wind, and that takes our temperatures today all the way up into the low 80s. So it's a warm but windy end to the work week. More on the weekend forecast coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues right here on WRTV.
From the station working for you, this is Good Morning Indiana, streaming now.
Another grim milestone for the Circle City as we tie the all-time intentional homicide rate in Indianapolis. Now at 5:30, what we know about the latest investigation. The pandemic has taken its toll on downtown tourism. This morning, details on a plan to bring visitors back to the area and how you can do it on a budget. Welcome to Good Morning Indiana on this Friday, October the 9th. I'm Rafael Sanchez. Our good friend, Lauren Casey, better be sleeping in Todd because she's on vacation. So, Lauren, if you're awake, good morning to you and Archie. But in the meantime, Todd Clausen has an amazing forecast. TK, good morning.
Rafael, good morning to you. Really, as we go through now, what is it, October the 9th, we're talking about temperatures today in the 80s, going to be well above normal. One trade-off is a gusty wind that's going to kick in as the day goes on, but that's really the only flaw that we have in the forecast for the day today. So grab the sunglasses as you walk out the door and a light to medium jacket. Temperatures this morning range, depending where you are, from the 40s to the mid to upper 50s, so it's warmer in Indy at 58 degrees. 48, though, the common number in a lot of the outlying communities, and where you live as well. As you get to Shelbyville, the temperature is at 48 degrees, but the skies are clear. We had some high, thin clouds earlier this morning. They have now moved out. We are done with those, and as we expand out, there's not a whole lot to show you. These showers in the UP of Michigan, they're going to bypass us to the north. This batch of rain, that's the cold front that's going to come through during the day on Sunday. That's going to give us our best chance of rain. And of course, down to our south, we have Hurricane Delta in the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to spread some cloud cover our way tomorrow. But today, it's a sun-filled day throughout the morning hours. Then a few clouds will build in, especially in southern locations down to the south as we get into the evening hours. But look at those temperatures. 74 degrees by the noon hour already, Rafael, with a high today in the low to mid 80s.
So listen, you have a picture-perfect forecast. I have a picture-perfect traffic report this morning. Good morning to Gas City, Greenfield, and Greenwood. Let's stay on the south side of Indianapolis. This is I-465 at State Road 37 and Harding Street. As you can see, traffic is building, but there are no problems this morning, which is good news on this Friday. The time now is 5:33. A grim update. Indianapolis has tied the intentional homicide record after the shooting death of a man on the city's northeast side. IMPD was called to the area of East 30th Street and Keystone Avenue Thursday evening around 6:30 on reports of of a vehicle crash. Now, when officers arrived, they found a man dead inside the car with apparent gunshot wounds. His death is the 153rd intentional homicide of the year so far. If you have any information about this case, you can remain anonymous. You're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. The time now is 5:33. Indiana has now set another record high day of reported coronavirus cases. 1,488 new cases of COVID-19 were reported by state health officials on Thursday. As you can see, this is the third day over the past week that cases have been above 1,400. Since the pandemic first hit our state, 129,677 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19. Now, the 7-day positivity rate has steadily been increasing over the past few weeks. Last week, at this point, it was 4.6%. Today, we're at 5.1%. And state health officials also report 16 new deaths in our state. And that brings the total number of Hoosiers who have died with the virus to 3,515. As you can see on Tuesday, there was a big spike in the number of reported deaths, and that number was 30. And we're continuing, of course, to keep a close eye on our hospital resources. About 33% of Indiana's ICU beds are available. So let's put that in context. On Monday, more than 36% of the state's ICU beds were available. COVID-19 patients are using 15% of those beds. Non-COVID patients are using 52% of the beds. Also, just under 80% of the state's ventilators are available right now. And that number is also down from earlier in the week. This morning, students at New Palestine High School will be switching to virtual learning. The Hancock County Health Department recommended the change after 5 new cases of COVID-19 were reported district-wide. The health department also cited the potential for active community spread. All other southern Hancock County schools will operate as normal today, and extracurricular activities will go on as scheduled. Now, after fall break, the health department has recommended that all buildings district-wide, they transition to virtual learning for 1 week, from October the 19th through October the 23rd. A school will resume in-person learning on Monday, October the 26th. Meanwhile, an entire student group at the University of Southern Indiana in Evansville is in quarantine because of COVID-19 exposure. In a statement, the university says it would not release the group's name because of confidentiality concerns. Vanderburgh County is an area of the state seeing an increase in COVID-19 cases. Evansville Mayor Lloyd Winnicky shared a video Monday pleading with people in the city to wear masks and practice social distancing. He attributed that recent surge to 2 main areas: large gatherings at which people are not social distancing or wearing masks, and employees of long-term health care facilities there in Evansville. Today, the community is invited to celebrate a woman who dedicated much of her life to improving downtown Indianapolis. Tamara Zahn was the founding president of Downtown Indy Inc. Last week, the organization announced her death. Downtown Indy Inc. calls Zahn a civic icon whose passion for downtown led to national recognition for outstanding revitalization, development, and beautification. A public celebration of life. It starts at 11 this morning on the south side of Monument Circle. Masks are required as several community and city leaders will speak, including Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and former Indianapolis Mayor Bart Peterson. So, movies under the stars. The 29th Heartland International Film Festival is now underway, and this year, of course, we're going to take you outdoors. Tibbs Drive-In is serving as the host site for this year's festival. They even had a drive-through red carpet to kick things off. Heartland is having to go virtual with most of their screenings this year because, of course, as I mentioned, the pandemic. But Tibbs will host 29 films over the next 11 nights. There will also be drive-in showings at Conner Prairie Monday through Wednesday next week. The festival, put this on your calendar, runs all the way through October the 18th. Since the pandemic started, indie businesses have really struggled, especially those who are committed to tourism here in central Indiana. This morning, WRTV's Kelsey Anderson, she joins us live with how one organization is hoping to bring you back to downtown Indianapolis. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So tourism obviously down in Indianapolis this year because of the pandemic and the protests that happened earlier this summer. But now they're working to get you back downtown. So whether you have family who's coming from out of town or just looking to do that staycation, Visit Indy has just what you need with the Indy Attraction Pass. It gives you the opportunity to buy one ticket that can get you into the Children's Museum, Conner Prairie, the Idle George Museum, the State Museum, and the Indianapolis Zoo. They offer a 1- and 3-day pass, and Nate Swick with Visit Indy says this is a fun, safe, and budget-friendly way to get out into the community.
And this is a great way to experience that while also getting out and helping the hospitality community, because like I said, we think this will drive visitors to the attractions, but also if you go to the museum, then you might stay downtown at a hotel, or you might also go to a restaurant, which also all need the help right now.
So the 1-day pass is $42 for children and $52 for 13 and above. And then the 3-day pass, that's $68 for children and $90 for anyone 13 and older. Now you can get these tickets now, and they are good for 90 days. But if you choose that 3-day pass, you must use it in 3 consecutive days, so more like 72 hours. Raphael?
It's good to get back some businesses downtown, especially to these places that have struggled and the pandemic. Plus, it's also a good deal. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You can actually extend it even further than that 1- or 3-day pass if you plan it accordingly. So, for example, if you get that 1-day pass and you come here to the Children's Museum at noon on Friday, as long as you go to another attraction before noon on Saturday, you can actually turn that 1-day pass into a 2-day thing, which kind of gives you some more activities to do and able to break it up a little bit over fall break or any kind of staycation that you have planned. Raphael?
Take the deal. Visit downtown, enjoy downtown, and always shop local. Kelsey, thank you so much. We'll see you at 6 a.m. Todd Clausen, a beautiful day. You know, I've been offering you now for about 2 months to pay for your lunch. It's today the day. I mean, it's going to be beautiful outdoors. I'm paying.
All right, maybe. Where are we going?
You name it.
All right, well, we'll find a good spot.
Not the bus stop.
Not the bus stop, though. We're beyond our school years, thankfully. We don't have to worry about the bus stop. That is for sure. But it's going to be a good day at the bus stop. 54 degrees as the kids head off to school with clear skies this morning. It's not too windy right now, but as the kids come home, the wind will kick up. So you'll notice that throughout the day. It becomes pretty breezy. 82 degrees, though. Send the kids outside. They won't care one bit about that wind. We really need some rainfall, just not a whole lot in the forecast. 51 days now in Indianapolis with hardly any measurable rainfall. We've had a trace here and there, but other than that, it's been very, very dry. Some small opportunities in our extended forecast for some rain. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
Todd, thank you. An alleged scheme against Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer thwarted by federal and state officials. Straight ahead, what investigators say the suspects were planning on this case. You're watching Good Morning Indiana on WRTV. At 5:44, we take you to Hamilton County, the Carmel Police Department, making changes to its body cameras, in part because of what happened this past July during this incident, during which a Carmel police officer shot and killed a suspect. The body camera did not show what happened because the camera became dislodged and then fell to the ground. It's a problem that WRTV investigates. Kara Kenny has been tracking now for the past 2 years within police departments across our state. We warn you, some of the video in this investigation may be disturbing.
The point of body cameras is to capture key moments of police interaction. Many departments use them to improve transparency and trust with the community. But WRTV Investigates has found body cams can come off during critical seconds. In July, a Carmel police officer's body camera is rolling as he begins to chase a man suspected of shooting his girlfriend and her mom. The officer's gun knocks his body camera upside down, and then during the chase, it falls to the ground. It remains on the ground as the officer shoots the suspect, only capturing audio. WRTV Investigates uncovered this problem of body cameras becoming dislodged back in 2018. It happened in Muncie when 2 officers' body cameras fell to the ground as they punched and tased a handcuffed suspect. Other agencies have had the same problem with body cameras falling off.
I don't know which one's which. It's yours.
Baton Rouge police took heat for the deadly shooting of Alton Sterling. Officers' body cameras became dislodged during that incident. To address this, some central Indiana police departments like Lawrence use this kind of body camera where it's fastened inside the uniform. Carmel uses a magnetic mount system. Following the July incident, the agency announced they're ordering new mounts through their vendor Axon. Mounts redesigned to reduce the chance of a camera getting knocked out. Carmel's new mounts pinch the shirt's fabric around the outside, which helps lock it into place.
But there's no perfect or ideal solution. So, for example,
Dr. Jeremy Carter is the Director of Criminal Justice and Public Safety for the O'Neill School of Public Affairs at IUPUI and says even the body cameras zipped into uniforms can have problems with obstructed video and distorted audio.
There are some that attach to hats or around different areas of the officer. And again, they all come with pros and cons in terms of what kind of view shed can you get, what kind of audio. And that's typically why you see it mounted to the chest, is because that is usually the best location for the camera in terms of what it captures, what it can hear. But unfortunately, if you're running, if you're wrestling with someone, I mean, the likelihood of it getting knocked off is the reality.
He's helped IMPD with its body camera program. IMPD recently launched body cameras that fasten inside. WRTV Investigates reached out to Axon, who told us they offer many different mounting options. Some mounting options are magnetic and are meant to break away by design so that a subject cannot use the camera or mount to pull the officer toward them. Other mounting options require more force to break away from the officer or uniform, as they're designed to have higher retention to the uniform. We are continually working with customers to improve upon our mounting options. Your tax dollars pay for body cameras. They cost around $50,000 to $100,000 a year, depending on the size of the police agency and the type of service. But like anything, it's not a perfect system. Working for you, Kara Kenny, WRTV.
Kara, thank you so much. And Kara just mentioned Axon, and Axon is a company which supplies those body cameras to many agencies in central Indiana. They went on to provide a statement to WRTV. In part, it says, although Axon products perform at the highest level in the industry, use of force incidents are dynamic and fluid in nature, and all outcomes can be unpredictable. Axon prioritizes the safety of our customers and the people they serve above all else, which is why we remain committed to developing technology and training to protect life in public safety. The time now is 5:49 in Texas. The police officer charged with murdering a black man has now been fired. On Saturday, Wolf City police officer Sean Lucas responded to a disturbance reportedly involving Jonathan Price. An attorney for Price's family says he had tried to stop a domestic disturbance, but the fight was over when police arrived. The Texas Department of Public Safety says Lucas tried to detain Price, tased him, and then shot him 4 times. Price died at the hospital. Investigators call the shooting an egregious violation of policy. In Michigan, 13 suspects now facing charges that they plotted to kidnap or even kill that state's Governor Gretchen Whitmer. According to a federal complaint, there were plans to storm Michigan's Capitol building to try Whitmer for treason and to conduct firearms and tactical training. Investigators also say there was talk of showing up at Whitmer's home, ringing the doorbell, and just shooting her if she answered the door. On Twitter, President Trump blasted Whitmer for doing a, quote, terrible job before denouncing any extreme violence. Whitmer says the president's rhetoric helped spark the alleged plot.
We came very close to a plot that was to kidnap me and to murder. That was what the affidavits say.
6 federal defendants appeared in federal court on Thursday. 7 other men face a variety of state firearms and terror charges. This morning, the nation's eyes, of course, on the eye of this storm. This is Hurricane Delta moving closer and closer to the already battered Gulf Coast. Expected to make landfall sometime this morning and to hit the same areas of Louisiana still dealing with Hurricane Laura's aftermath. This morning, tarps have been draped over already hurricane-ravaged homes, but that won't stop the life-threatening storm surge Delta is predicted to unleash. Parts of Louisiana could see up to 11 feet feet of water. And Todd, these folks along the Gulf Coast have not been able to get a break this summer and fall with all these storms.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing how these weather patterns work, right? We've had numerous tropical systems, whether they've been tropical storms or hurricanes, making landfall along the Gulf Coast from Texas all the way to the Florida Panhandle. Then here in central Indiana, we've hardly had any rainfall, just some scattered showers over the past 50 days or so. And unfortunately, the remnants from Delta are not going to make their way here into central Indiana. This is this evening at 8:30. That's when the eye of the storm is expected to make landfall here in Louisiana. And then as we work our way into Saturday, notice how the moisture kind of fades away a little bit and it slides off towards the east. A few stray showers will be possible here in southern locations as we work our way into the course of a Saturday morning and afternoon, but most of us remain unfortunately completely dry. With that said, it's the weekend, so it times out well. Obviously, if we get some rain, we'd rather have it during the week than on Saturday or Sunday. Now, closer to home for today, one thing you're going to notice is we're going to see the wind start to kick up. Not an issue here this morning. The wind's actually pretty calm, but look what happens as we go throughout the day. Here we are tonight, 5 p.m., and you notice the wind gusts are up to around 20 to 25 miles per hour, depending on where you are. So if you're heading to high school football games, you have plans this Friday evening, maybe be on the patio, just know that it's going to be pretty breezy out there. And then the wind stays pretty high overnight and into the day on Saturday. It's really not until Saturday evening that the wind gusts will start to calm down. So it's a pretty breezy stretch of weather. With that said, it's a southwesterly wind, and that's what's going to bring our temperatures all the way up into the 80s today and probably very close tomorrow as well. 40s and 50s this morning, a light jacket needed for many of you as you get going. As we work our way throughout the day today, 50s through about 9 a.m. and then the temperatures will quickly warm through the 60s and eventually into the 80s later on today with mainly clear skies. The showers, the closest one we have right in the UP of Michigan, they will not impact us, but you may notice a little more in the way of cloud cover in southern locations as we get into the evening hours, and that should be just about it. And then here are some of those showers from Delta trying to sneak in overnight, but most of those again will stay to our south. Mid 80s in Logansport, Kokomo, Frankfort 86 today, about 84 in Indy as well as Noblesville, 86 in Rockville, 84 in Bedford. So those are those summer-like temperatures that we will enjoy throughout the day today. Not much of a fall-like feel. There's definitely more clouds around tomorrow and again on Sunday, so it's not as bright as it'll be throughout the day today, but still warm with highs close to 80 degrees. Monday's the best chance of rain, and unfortunately, Raphael, it's just some scattered showers moving through as a cold front passes by.
And no complaints here in Studio A. So Todd, really the forecast is perfect to be outdoors. So now the country offering a unique cruise for travel-starved locals. Where they're setting sail from and where they're going, that's next right here on Good Morning Indiana. So the Singapore Tourism Board has partnered with 2 cruise lines to launch pleasure cruises, but listen, there's a catch. They won't visit any ports. The cruises to nowhere follow the popular trend of flights to nowhere. The initial journey is scheduled for November and should look quite different than a typical seagoing experience. To ensure hygiene protocols, ships will depart and return to the same spot and will only operate at no more than 50% capacity and will be for Singapore residents only. The cruise ships will follow strict sanitation guidelines with passengers required to show a negative COVID-19 test before boarding. And so I know, Todd, Singapore is one of those places you want to visit, so unfortunately we can't get you there this time, but Lauren and I can work on for next Christmas. We'll see what happens.
All right. Hopefully travel gets back to normal pretty soon. A lot of people looking to go to a lot of places. All right, temperatures here in central Indiana, 40s and 50s. Maybe you're doing the staycation this weekend. Maybe you're just going leaf popping, looking at leaves here across central Indiana. Should be a good weekend for that. Today, though, it's going to be a warm day. We have mostly sunny skies. Our average high is 68. Today going up to 83 degrees, but it will be a breezy day as those winds will kick in and gust up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour later on this afternoon. The time now is 5:58. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on WRTV. We're back in just a couple minutes. We hope you see you then.